everyone. I am Michelle Paradero de Ligorio from Group 1. Today, we will discuss problem solving in lesson plan. In this lesson, we will learn the characteristic of a good word problem, when it is best to give a word problem, and how to process students' varied solution. So first, let us define problem-solving strategy. The problem-solving strategy involves students being challenged to collaboratively solve real-world math problems, which they have not yet previously encountered. Which means the students are presented with math problems that represent of a real-life situation. These problems are new to the students, meaning they have not come across them before. It is student-centered and promotes critical and creative thinking skills, problem-solving abilities, and communication skills. This strategy is designed to put students at the center of a learning process with the guidance of the teacher. The students are required to work together, typically in groups. The focus is on developing the students' ability to think critically and creatively when approaching a problem, as well as to solve problems effectively. This strategy aims to enhance the students' communication skills, encourage them to articulate their thoughts, ideas, and solutions effectively. Also, it is one way to empower students with the necessary skills to navigate and solve problems independently. The integral part of this strategy is the time given to the students to struggle with the problem, and its beauty is in the varied solution that the students would produce. Allowing students the opportunity to try to solve with a problem and explore different approaches is essential. This values the process of problem solving rather than solely focusing on finding a single correct solution. By providing sufficient time for students to struggle, it encourages them to think critically, persevere, and explore multiple solutions or strategies to the given problem. For example of real math problems. The problem involves a group of friends who want to buy snacks from the school cafeteria during the break. The friends have different amounts of money. They need to figure out how many snacks they can afford to buy. The teachers divide the class into small groups and assign each group a specific amount of money. The students then work collaboratively to solve the problem. They discuss and calculate how many snacks their groups can purchase with a given amount of money, taking into consideration the prices of different snacks options provided by the teacher. There are three main elements of problem-solving strategy, namely the word problem, the time given for the students to struggle with the problem, and the mathematical discourse that happens during the struggle and during the processing of the students' generated solution. Later on, we will tackle those elements one by one. Let's start with the word problem. The word problem. In many Filipinos classrooms, word problems are given at the end of the lesson, and the students are expected to answer them by applying the concept or skills that had just been taught to them. In most cases, the teacher first demonstrates how to solve a problem, and then the students would independently answer a similar structured problem. If you could remember it, when we were in elementary school, the teacher discussed the lesson first without interaction with his or her students. And then, the teacher gave us 1 to 5 item test that we were going to solve and answer individually. In the test, for example, the topic is addition. The teacher will use different numbers but the same process that she or he discussed earlier. They know that just taught lesson is the key to solve the problem, and they pattern their solution to what the teacher demonstrated. Basically, it means that students are not actively engaging the problem-solving skills. Instead, they are relying solely to the instruction or demonstration provided the teacher. They are just simply following a predetermined method or solution that has been shown for them. In using problem-solving strategy, the problems serve as the starting point of the learning experiences. Therefore, it is given at the beginning of the lesson. The problem is provided to the student at the beginning of the lesson, and it is designed to engage their curiosity and stimulate their thinking. Sometimes, we will ask our students any idea about the word or topic. By that, presenting the problem up front, the lesson plan aims to spark the students' interest and encourage them to think critically in order to find a solution. The problem serves as a driving force behind the lesson. The challenge for you, the teacher, is to choose or create a problem which can be solved using the target concept of the lesson at hand but can also be answered using previously learned knowledge and skills, which means the problem should align the specific learning objective of the lesson. The problem should require students to apply the new concept being taught, allowing them to practice and reinforce the understanding. But then, the problem should also be designed in a way that students can draw on their prior knowledge and skills to some extent. This allows for connection to be made between old and new information, promoting deeper understanding and integration of knowledge. How you present the problem also matters, especially for the primary grades. It is not always helpful to introduce the problem by posting it on the board. Doing this may intimidate some students and reading comprehension skills may intervene. Instead, it is suggested to narrate the problem in a storytelling manner to engage the learners. Encourage the students to imagine the scenario and allow them to clarify information if they find some details confusing. Showing drawings or real objects might help. Given that they are in primary grades, some of them are not fan of reading, but they are fan of listening story. That's why it's suggested that to narrate the problem in the storytelling manner, and also using real object might catch their attention to focus and comprehend solution.
The time given to struggle with the problem. The goal is for the students to collaborate, share their ideas with each other to come up with a solution. Encourage the students to use their previously learned knowledge and skills to solve the problem, and to communicate their ideas with their classmates through words, equations, and or illustrations. In this element of problem-solving strategy, the goal is for the students to collaborate, meaning the students are working in groups. They are sharing their ideas to come up with a solution. Students are encouraged to use their problem-solving skills, reasoning, and communication skills in exploring their own ideas and approaches in finding a solutions. They can express the ideas through words, equation, or illustration because every students have their own different learning styles to learn and understand the lessons. It is natural for the students to find this phase burdensome, especially when it is their first time to engage in such an activity. Critical thinking and communicating ideas are not easy tasks after all, so it is the task of the teacher to encourage the students to think out of the box. Tell the students that there is more than one way to solve the problem, so they do not need to worry about their solution being wrong as long as every step they did is meaningful in solving the problem. For learners with learning difficulties on intellectual disabilities, it's much harder to enjoy learning math, especially when this is their first time encountering on that kind of lesson. The teacher must prepare and plan a classroom instruction, the tasks they use, and the strategies they will be going to use in the discussion to engage students in productive mathematics discussion. It is important to establish a learning environment that welcomes students' involvement in the way the learners are being actively engaged and explore their own ideas and encourage them to use a variety of approaches and solution strategies to come up with a correct solution. The mathematical discourse. This is the most exciting element of the problem-solving strategy. While the students are working in small groups to solve the problem, you get to move around and enjoy the mathematical talk that the students are engaging in. Of course, you may intervene in the students' discussion when corrections and clarifications are needed, but be careful not to give the hints. When we say mathematical discourse, it allows teachers to monitor students' dispositions and gauge their developing confidence, interest and perseverance. The mathematical discourse. It may be tempting to do so, especially when the students are struggling, but do not. As you encourage your students to think, believe that they can. Allow yourself to be amazed at how the students will defend their thinking, correct each other's ideas, and figure things out on their own. The teacher should deserve, listen to, and monitor students too. Support, instruction decision making when they were doing their tasks. The teacher must know when to intervene and when to assist their learners' knowledge but not directly providing the solutions. The students need to create their own ideas and formulate their own solutions to their given problems through their own understanding about the learnings. Remember that all the student-generated solutions, as long as correct, can be directed to the concept or skill that is the objective of the lesson. The challenge is how you would process those various solutions, make sense of each of them, and use them to generalize or come up with a solution that make use of the knowledge, skill that is the objective of the lesson. In this phase comes the importance of the teacher's fluency of this subject matter. Students' generated solution will reflect to the teaching strategies being applied of the teachers. To the students, if he or she achieved the main goal or objective on the lesson being discussed by studying and understanding the different strategies on how they formulate solution in every problem. By doing that, the teacher have already the idea or concept with the solution on what are the best strategies he or she will be going to use, which is applicable to the learning styles of the learners, in imparting the new skills and the knowledge to them. As educators, we need to structure lessons to encourage students' interaction, address gaps in students' understanding, and help them express mathematicals may precisely. So we have experience. Topic: apply properties of multiplication to mentally multiply whole numbers up to 2 digits in grade level 3. Target learning. Competency. By the end of the lesson, the learners will be able to mentally multiply whole numbers up to 2 digits. Prerequisite. Knowledge and skills. Multiplication of whole numbers up to 2 digits. Mentally multiply 18 and 5. Present the problem above in a narrative approach which will engage the student. See an example below. Hannah is next in line to pay at the counter. She will buy 5 pieces of bread which cost 18 pesos each. She would like to know how much she needs to pay for all the bread. Her hands are full, so she couldn't write her solution nor use her phone calculator. She needs to solve mentally. If you were in Hannah's shoes, how will you solve it? Generation of solutions. Students will work in pairs of triad. Encourage the students to think about the problem and share their thoughts with their classmates. Assure them that there is no one right solution. They may do calculations or draw. Any solution is welcome as long as they can explain why they did such. The problem calls for mental calculations, but for the sake of discussion and to facilitate mathematical communication. Through writing, instruct the students to write down their thoughts as they explain to their group mates, partners. Watch out! The students should realize that the given is a multiplication problem. Give guide questions to pairs, groups who may have not realized this. In giving guide questions, determine first what the students know and then build on that. Processing of solution. Have some pair group write their solution on the board and explain. In using possible solution, use solution 1 to introduce the commutative and associative properties. Solutions 2 and 3 will aid in the discussion of the distributed property. Solution 4 is the usual algorithm in multiplying but done in the imagination of the student. Guide the students to realize that the different solutions all lead to the same answer, which is 90. Ask the students who among them did the same as ones presented in the class. In this tip, name a solution after the students who shared it. For example, the illustration is Paulo and Jose's technique. Doing this would 1. Deepen the students' sense of ownership of their learning, and 2. Motivate them to think of unique solutions when given the same task in the future. So thank you for listening. God bless.